is now Tuesday here at Michigan Storm Chasers, and our eyes are still set toward that Thursday time frame for potential severe weather. I am Ryan. This is Michigan Storm Chasers. Welcome to the channel. Let's go ahead and start our video like we always do here with a shout out to today's spotlight sponsor here at Michigan Storm Chasers. It is going to be Pro Powder today. They are based out of the South Haven, Michigan area, and they do powder coating needs for both residential or commercial use. Give them a call. Number's on your screen there. It is 269-637-8722. And as always, thank you to Pro Powder for sponsoring today's YouTube video here at Michigan Storm Chasers. Let's go ahead and talk about risks here today. Starting with today, we have a general thunderstorm risk out there for a good chunk of south and central lower Michigan. Why, you may ask? Well, let's go ahead and flip over here to the model. This is a model of today's rainfall. Has some showers out there this morning, not too big of a deal there. But as we get toward the afternoon, the heat of the day, we're going to have some pop-up, we call them popcorn showers, perhaps a storm there, across the south and central part of the state. Now, these are not expected to be severe, but typical of summertime. It's not quite summertime yet, but these are very reminiscent of a summertime pop-up storm. So these may hold small hail and brief gusty winds in them. However, we're not really expecting to have any severe weather. Wouldn't be shocked to have one isolated strong storm, not out of the question, but overall severe chances today are quite low in nature. But just keep that in mind. Your outdoor plans may be put on hold there briefly as these storms pass through. This is heat of the day storms, so expect them around 2 p.m. to around 8 or 9 p.m. or so, as these are fueled by our instability here during the peak heating. Same thing applies for tomorrow, Wednesday. We have another general thunderstorm risk, this time for the entire state of Michigan. No severe risk, though. Moving forward into the Wednesday time frame here in the model, a similar picture with pop-up storms here across parts of Michigan tomorrow. These are looking a little bit more robust in nature. Wouldn't be shocked tomorrow to have one or two isolated severe storms across the state. Again, there's no risk in place from the SPC for that, but just typical of summertime thunderstorms. They can produce some small hail at times, and in some cases, brief gusty winds that may briefly reach severe limits or greater. So keep that in mind for tomorrow, especially. As we move into the Thursday time frame, though, we're going to be looking at a return of our severe weather. Starting with the SPC outlook here, we have a level 2 slight risk there in yellow. That extends all the way up from Escanaba, Iron Mountain, all the way through Gaylord, Tri-Cities, back down toward Flint, Detroit, Ann Arbor, all the way over to Lake Michigan there from Traverse City on down toward the Benton Harbor area. A very large slight risk here in effect. There is no probabilities here yet from the SPC. This is a day 3 outlook. We will get probabilities from the SPC on tomorrow's outlooks. That comes out at 2 a.m. tonight. We'll have that posted on the page here, as well as go over it tomorrow here at YouTube, here on the YouTube page. So overall concern for this is going to be based on Thursday evening into overnight Friday, so Friday morning. Going forward here to the models, this is Thursday here, starting at the morning sunrise hours. We have a shower across the state there to start our day on Thursday. Overall, dry day is expected. Here we are at 3 p.m., 4 p.m., maybe a pop-up shower or storm there across portions of the state. The real risk that we see comes later on in the evening. Here is 8 p.m. according to this model. Look at these robust cells out there across the lake in Wisconsin and Illinois areas. Moving up in here, here's 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m., and then by midnight, a robust line is shown here on this model that treks across Lake Michigan and arrives in western Michigan here by about midnight. But keep in mind, up here in the UP, you're already getting storms over there by the Iron Mountain area as early as that 10 p.m. Eastern time frame, 9 p.m. Central time frame, for those of you up there in the UP and Central time. So as early as about 10 p.m. in places, but for the most of us down here in lower Michigan, expected around midnight or after. That is going to trek across the state there, and it will bring a risk for severe hazards, mainly damaging winds. The risk for hail and tornadoes is certainly there. However, wind is the most confident factor as of right now. Being 3 days away from this, we're still kind of fine-tuning all the hazards and getting specific areas in place. We'll go over that here in just a second. But overall, the entire state at a risk here for severe weather. We feel here at MSC that the risk is highest a little bit further south here toward the Indiana-Ohio borders, and that is because that's where the overlap of instability and wind shear and moisture and lift, all that jazz is best. Going into those ingredients, I want to flip back here to right around midnight here. I'm going to toggle on some ingredients here. Let's go ahead and start with our instability. Let's go ahead and toggle this back to the 00Z model because it just updated on me, so it makes me look really stupid. Let's go ahead and move this back to midnight here on the Thursday evening. Check out the instability gradient here across southern Michigan here from roughly Grand Rapids down here toward the Adrian area. This model is really hinting at higher instability levels to fuel these storms at that midnight time frame. We still have sufficient amounts further north here, but it is much higher down here in the yellow, red, and orange zone in the south and west part of the state here. So that is just one ingredient. What about wind shear and storm fuel put together? We call it supercell composite. And again, we're going to see the best environment to overlap is roughly from about Ludington down here toward about the Adrian area. The only reason you have gaps in here is because storms are already ongoing. It's already eating that atmosphere up. So overall, South and West Michigan in the greatest concern there for the highest environment. But as we move into the evening, into the overnight hours, that does shift to the east as the night goes on. So keep that in mind as well. But do take note, it is staying south of primarily 96 here according to this model. So right now, we at MSC, we feel the best risk for severe weather is really from Ludington over the Tri-Cities and point southward here. Not to say we're not going to have a severe risk up here in the UP or northern lower, because we likely will. But the highest concern is definitely tied where the instability, the ingredients, all the good factors that go into account for severe weather are overlapping. That is the area we're most concerned about there in that Xed area from the Tri-Cities, basically south of Mount Pleasant, especially south of Mount Pleasant. All right. Main time frame for this is going to be centered after the 10 p.m. time frame. Currently, that could still shift slightly, but overall, a later evening into the overnight period, Thursday/Friday morning, is expected for severe weather. And again, the entire part of, not the entire state, but the entirety of, almost the entirety of the Lower Peninsula there, within that level 2 out of 5 risk there from the SPC. Like I said, we'll have a forecast from us, our in-house forecast graphics out here at 1 p.m. on our Facebook page. For those of you interested, would highly suggest keeping an eye on this threat, especially since it's overnight. It's an overnight threat, so a lot of people are going to be sleeping. So as always, make sure you guys have ways to receive warnings through your phone, an app, your weather radio. Just make sure you have ways to receive warnings. And as always, we'll be live here at MSC for any and all severe weather here in the state of Michigan. So you always have us to lean back on and rely on at any time of the day. So with that said, stay tuned on our pages. We'll have briefings for this coming probably tomorrow. We're not going to do it tonight. We'll do it tomorrow. We have more confidence in the forecast, but overall, do keep tuned in to this forecast as it could also be upgraded and shifted in future outlooks. With that said, I'm going to pop out of here. You guys enjoy your day. A bit cooler out there, a little bit humid as well, but also the threat for some pop-up storms today and also for your Wednesday is certainly there. If any of those do become strong or severe, we will be live here on the page as always. So we got you guys covered no matter the time or day. You can always count on us.